to Cheap Joe's Art Stuff. My name is Julie, and I'm here to impart some knowledge to you today via a 2-minute art tip, folks. Here we go. I'm here to show you a new product, probably never heard of. It's called Lutradur. Yes, could be a Marvel villain. You don't know, but it's not. This is actually kind of interesting. Very, very different from other stuff that you've probably seen around. They classify this as a mixed media sheet, and I would say that it's not paper, it's not plastic, it's not fabric. It dwells somewhere in the margins there, you know, like somewhere in between. So imagine, if you will, like a heavy duty dryer sheet. Now, it isn't coated like a dryer sheet would be, but it's very, very much that consistency. If you're at all familiar with like Tyvek, which is like an outdoor printing material, or even they use it to wrap new construction with, it's kind of like that, but just thinner. This pack, it's an 8.5 by 11 pack, and there are 10 sheets in each pack. So there's 5 heavyweight sheets and 4 lightweight sheets. They say they're about 70 grams and 100 grams, but I'm not really sure that that's a comparison that applies in this, because they're so weird. Like, it's so different. It's super, super strong. It's not like really terrible, so you can't like shred it, but it's easy to cut. It's easy to form. You can run it through printers like inkjet and all-in-one printers, not laser printers. You can layer it, so you can do like kind of translucent layering effects with it over existing media. So like if you wanted to create like a passage that was a little bit diffused over like a watercolor or acrylic, you could use it that way. It says art quilts, scrapbooks, bookmaking, all kinds of different stuff. You could even use this as a sculptural element, because if you put fabric medium in there, like that causes it to harden, you could actually sculpt with this stuff. So it's got kind of like a broad application. I'm going to do kind of something a little bit weird with it. I'm going to show you what it's like when it comes out of the pack, because the one that I have here is not going to look familiar to you. This is what it looks like out of the pack. You can see that it's somewhat, translucent. This is one of the heavier sheets, so you can see that you get kind of a diffused effect from it, and it's kind of got like striations in it of the fiber, kind of like a Japanese rice paper, but it's not, because it's not rice paper, folks. This is something else. Now, the piece that I have, I took out of the pack already, and I've been messing with it like I was playing with it when I was watching TV last night, because I didn't want it to be so rigid. So the one that I got, I've been like crushing and smushing and like rubbing together. I do this with my Japanese paper a lot when I don't want it to be so flat and dull. I'm not going to be able to like start and finish the piece here on camera, but I wanted to give you guys a feel for how this stuff absorbs color and what it looks like, so that you guys could get kind of a feel. I'm going to be doing kind of a mixed media sculptural thing with this. I'm going to probably do quite a bit of watercolor on this, and then I've been doing some crazy stuff with like gold wire that I braid and sew into things, so it'll have some like sculptural elements in it. I will show you the piece when here at the end when I'm done, so you get a feel. This is acid free, so you don't have to worry about it competing or contaminating your other surfaces. I'm actually going to probably adhere this to a piece of gesso board when I'm done, and I will likely use like an acrylic medium, like a gel medium, to actually like glue it down onto the surface when I'm done. I'll bring my palette up here so you can see what I'm doing. Please forgive the cat hair. I can't seem to keep her away from my stuff. This one is Dan Smith color Kyanite, which is one of the fine tech colors. You will see that with watercolor, because this is not super porous, that it'll kind of sit on the surface for like a half second, and that's okay. You can see that where I've scrunched this and crunched it, it has caused it to absorb differently, like where I've broken the surface. So this looks a little bit like when you play with masa, if you've ever done that, done watercolor on crunched up masa. I don't know why my colors aren't activating today like I would like them to. I did not pre-wet this. I'll show you what it looks like if we do it that way, because I wanted to keep the application pretty strong. The water kind of sits on top for a few seconds before it finally engages with the surface. Now, how this will behave with like alcohol ink or acrylic will vary. Maybe we'll sling some alcohol ink on it maybe later. I don't know. We'll see. This brush is so thirsty and nice that it keeps picking up every last bit of what I have activated over here. Get it going. Here we go. All right, and you're like, okay, great, you made a wrinkly rectangle. That's nice. Well, give it a minute. You know, I've been playing in these kind of fluid rectangle kind of Mark Rothko-esque kind of frameworks lately. And what's interesting about this is that, you know, colors react differently on watercolor paper, and, you know, they'll bleed into one another. You know, you'll get these flowery fractal shapes and stuff. And on this, it does the same thing, but like even more. Like you can see how this color, which is Pat's Coastal Blue, is like running up into this area, even into the kyanite, even more than it normally would. So you're getting these kind of almost like botanical looking kind of formations in there. I just love this color. It's so cool. It's kind of so subtle, but it's like opaque, and it contrasts with interesting stuff. It can look gray, it can look green, it can look blue, you know. I kind of dig how it sits on the surface and it kind of is deciding what it's going to do. It's really kind of interesting. We just did a video earlier today. We were talking about like trying out new surfaces with your existing material, and this is like a perfect example of like getting in there and taking your watercolor that you're so used to and you're so kind of familiar with what it's going to do, and like putting it on a completely different surface that you have no idea what's going to happen, like none at all, and just trying it out and see what happens, seeing what you think. Now we're gonna switch it up and go totally different direction. So we got some kind of interesting stuff going on here. Got like, we've been using American Journey. This is Indigo, and kind of got some cool things going on. This one, the Kyanite, is a little weaker than I'd like, so I'm going to use some Moonglow. American Journey's Moonglow, and kind of pump this up a little bit. But I like the subtlety of the Kyanite, you know, because the pigment base is a semi-precious stone. It has this kind of reflective quality, so I'm not sure you can see this on camera or not, but there's a very kind of subtle sparkle, shiny. So you know I'm gonna like it. It's gorgeous. So got a little bit of Moonglow in there, giving it some I love it. These colors are some of my favorites. See, I've got my color cards here. I know I've harped about color cards, my friends, but with good reason. You can see here that I've got them like in full concentration, and also like broken down with a little bit of alcohol spray that I put in there, and then I got more cards for the other colors, you know, that I'm bound to buy. So I am actually going to there's this one color in here. This one is it's called Smolder. If you guys haven't seen Tangled, You guys need to. It's so hilarious. One of my favorite Disney animated movies. Eugene Fitzherbert. So every time I pull this out of my box of cool stuff, I think of one of the coolest male Disney leads ever, Eugene Fitzherbert. So you can see this color is absorbing and completely, totally differently than the watercolor is. The metallic that's in this one's called, like I said, Smolder. It's an alcohol pearl. The pearl part is sitting on the top and the color part is like kind of sinking into the dips. It's kind of awesome. And I love it because it's like going into the cracks and the crevices and kind of making its way. And then some of the pigment is dispersing into the fiber and causing another kind of like underlayer of color to be exposed. I think I'm gonna let this smolder a little bit and see what happens, because the braided metallic element that I'm going to put in here will kind of reside right in this area. So I kind of want to see what this is going to do and what kind of natural shapes it's going to form against the hard kind of geometric metal part that we've got coming up next. So I'm going to let this kind of stew and see what happens. Hold on, we'll put a little thing here at the end so you can see what it ends up looking like. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching, and hope that you enjoy.